Welcome to Communing with Divine, a podcast where I share my spiritual quest and the lessons and the insights that I've received from many divine beings and energies during meditation. I am your host, Meraki. Now, let's begin. Welcome to episode 5, Enter the Goddess Alethea. I want to emphasize that my journey and my learning has evolved slowly in baby steps. It wasn't until a few steps onward that I gained the perspective to understand why the first steps had occurred at all. This is often how it is. Things are revealed in layers to allow us to assimilate and grow with each step. It allows us to have the time and the space to process and to slowly raise our vibration and awareness so that we can be ready for the next step, the next piece of insight, truth, or understanding. If it came all at once, it could be overwhelming, and we would not be ready to grasp the truths and process them. It would all be lost on us. Or, as the sages explained to me, wisdom often requires time and space, distance from the moment of learning. It is difficult for wisdom to form within an active moment or time of learning. Patience and perspective are required. For example, a goddess in a white dress with gold embroidery and a gold belt came forward to me a few days ago. Her name is Alethea. She came forward and then went very quiet. And because I was really focusing on the archangels, I almost forgot about this goddess as she stood patiently and quietly. But I realized after she had revealed herself to me that she had stepped back in order to allow me to process that she was there and to be sure that she didn't overwhelm me, especially as other beings had also revealed themselves to me around the same time. Everything at once would have been too much for me to handle, so she let me know that she was with me, and then she went quiet, so that the realization of all that was to be shared with me could unfold in a slow and gentle manner. The other day I was talking with the Mighty Four, as I call the 4 archangels who stand around me, and I was trying to figure out what my soul's vibration was the closest to being at this time. And they were helping me to understand this. But this information for now is something I will keep to myself and for myself because obviously it's deeply personal. But I will share that it is childlike in nature. Anyway, once my soul's vibration had been revealed, the Mighty Four explained that the vibration that I carry in this life is the reason why I can connect with them all so easily. As soon as this was explained to me, I remembered myself. This was extremely powerful. It's extremely powerful to remember who you are, to feel and to recognize your personal energy and unique vibration, no matter how fleeting the experience is. As the Mighty Four explained to me, you are a unique expression of the eternal. You are all unique expressions of the One. You are all one in the same. Remember that always. So, getting back to the goddess Alethea, after she revealed herself to me, I began to search for who or what she was. What did her name mean? I discovered that her name has many subtle nuances within it, all relating to truth. Alethea means truth revealed and truth uncovered. It means unconcealed disclosure and unconcealedness. It is the state of not being hidden. Alethea is less about factual evidence that is scientifically measurable. It's more about the slow unfolding and experiencing of the many facets that make up the entirety of something. This allows for deeper appreciation and intimate knowledge and knowing of the mysteries. Having understood the meaning of her name, it makes sense that she revealed herself to me at this time. She is here to reveal truth to me, beginning with my soul's vibration. Alethea was just standing quietly behind me, supporting me as I navigated this, and I'm very appreciative of her help, because clearly I couldn't see who I was in truth. I needed her presence, along with the instruction of the Mighty Four, to finally see and understand my real self, my true nature, the part of the One, the All, that is expressing itself through me. We come in knowing it, all of us do, but life causes us to cover it up or blinds us to it. It seems that as our lives progress, many of us can't bear to look at our own perfection because we have come to believe that it can't be true, that we can't be part of something as perfect or magnificent as the One. But we are. It's our true essence. Sometimes we confuse the act of recognizing our soul's vibration and our connection to the All with ego, but they are completely different things and produce completely different experiences. Ego makes you feel superior. Ego creates separation, so the world is experienced through me versus you and us versus them. Ego highlights the differences between us and makes these differences bad, threatening, or wrong. For ego, these differences are not something to be admired or celebrated, but something to be derided. Ego creates division between us, and it creates competition. Ego wants to overshadow others so they can't see or appreciate their own divine perfection. And also so that we can't see it either, neither in ourselves or in others. Ego creates and fosters fear of ourselves and also fear of others who are not like ourselves. And fear is a tool that sows confusion and promotes lies and misbeliefs. Fear makes us unable to see, feel, and know truth because they are incompatible with each other. But when you see, feel, and experience your truth, the truth of the unique part of the One that you are an expression of, you feel nothing but love and union with others. The false separations and divisions fall away. Even if it only lasts for a split second, you understand. You know that we are all one. You feel this truth. And once you feel it, you can't forget it. Once you feel it, you want everyone to experience it. You want everyone to see their true selves and know their perfection. You want everyone to feel it together and be one again. And so it's not a selfish experience or a selfish state of being. It's one of sharing with the other parts of yourself. It brings together in love and understanding and with appreciation of the all in all of its expressions. Earlier I said, and so I remembered myself. I don't know what all of this means or where it's going, but I do know that this is extremely significant for me in terms of understanding myself and of understanding others. To remember myself, my soul's vibration, and to help me accomplish whatever it is that I'm supposed to. January 23rd, 2022. The Goddess Alethea stands behind me now with her hands on my shoulders. She's saying that I will need to see through her light of truth in order to properly grasp what's happening today, and I appreciate that. It's interesting. I thought it would be like a bubble around me. It's not. She's pouring her energy into me, and it's rising up. It's filling me. My whole body is just filled with her light, white and gold. It's so beautiful. I'll share with you what I see, hear, and feel. A lot of this is usually symbolic, which is important to remember. We're starting today with something basic, something well known, light and darkness. Light and darkness provide contrast for each other. The darkness fulfills a purpose for the light within our experiences. Not every experience requires contrast or strong contrast, but for us to learn and to understand, for us to see and know in a way and at a level that we have come here to do, there must be a contrast. Some people experience this contrast in a dramatic or intense way. We don't just have one path when we come down here. We have many paths that we can choose, and we can't know why anyone chooses the paths that they do. I'm being shown a Y junction, and there is a person standing at the junction who has the choice to go down the path of healing and love and fulfillment, or to follow a path that is challenging and is filled with pain and separation from those who love them and from the perfection of who they are. This is a path of addiction and the abuse of self and of others. To draw from Eckhart Tolle's terminology, this is a path filled with pain bodies, individual, familial, ancestral, and collective. People who choose this path choose to expose themselves to these pain bodies. I'm standing and I'm watching this person choose this path. He's stopping. He turns and looks back at me. It seems as if this person wants to explain a bit about their choice. He says, "It's okay. This is what I need to do. Please respect it." And I understand as I look at him that nothing can truly harm him, his true self, his soul essence. This person seems to know that too. The decision he's making is being done very calmly, it seems. I wish him well on his journey. We must all do this. We can offer help, love, and support, but if a person rejects it and chooses to walk a destructive or dangerous path, we must release them with love and allow them. They have things that they must do or have chosen to do, and that has nothing to do with us. The reasons are hidden from us. He's nodding in agreement. Then he turns to walk the path that he has chosen. I'm seeing another man now. His path is very different. He's very much walking the path of light, and yet he struggles in smaller ways. His path is not filled with Y junctions or crossroads. His path has little loops that come off of the main path, and when he steps onto them, he leaves his main path very briefly and then circles back around to step back on it. These are momentary diversions, I think. This man is not overly affected by pain bodies. He seems to be able to shake them off easily, unlike the man before. It's such a different path. This is so interesting. Now I'm being shown another person, a woman. Her path is different again from the other two that I was shown. It has 3 branches that make up her journey. She has a path of light, a path of darkness, and then there's another path that presents itself as light to her, but it's not. It's cloaking itself in light. It is the path of the light perverted. I'm being told that the path of the light perverted crossed her main path when this woman was young. I'm being shown it singing beautifully to her, and she was drawn to it in this way. She believed it to be the light. She wanted to stay on the path of the light, but this path distracted her. I can't know what within her allowed her to be convinced by this imposter. It's not for me to know. Once she got committed to this path, she initially believed very intensely that it was light. But as some of the awareness of the deception crept in, this choice became a torturous one. She can leave the path if she decides to. She is not a prisoner of this choice. But a part of her wants to believe in this illusion because she's committed so much to it. She's believed in it so much. And also, I feel that she's afraid. Her fear blocks her from making the decision she desires. When she comes to a point where the 3 paths converge, she can look and see the path of the light that she wants to be on, and she can see the path of the darkness that she does not want to take. But the path of the light perverted gives her the illusion that she can't get to the path of light. It puts an image that looks to me like impenetrable briars, but it's only an illusion. The briars aren't really there. She looks through the briars longingly at the path of light. She sees it. She can almost touch it. She reaches out to it, but she's afraid to push through the briars that aren't really there. They are an illusion created by the light perverted, and it is an illusion that is accepted by her. This is a form of torture, really, but in truth, she is allowing this because it is only her fear and her acceptance of the illusion that is preventing her from passing through this imaginary barrier. Her fear is not real either. It's also an illusion. But when she doesn't cross the briars and she accepts the illusion, she returns to convincing herself that the path she is on is the one of light. She does this so that she can continue walking it without fear and without pain, at least for a short time. But the pain returns because it is the pain of the separation from the path of light, and that can never be fully repressed or removed. It's interesting that the light perverted doesn't block her from choosing the path of darkness. This is because it knows that she fears the darkness even though she should not. But that fear ensures that she will never choose to step onto that path, and so it poses no threat to the light perverted. This is why the light perverted can be so dangerous. It knows us, all of our fears, desires, and weaknesses, and it can create illusions that keep us bound to it. That's my perception of it anyway. I'm being shown some of the many different paths that people have chosen throughout time. Some are up very, very steep hills. Some are precipitous, like walking along a very steep, narrow mountain pass in high winds. Some are straightforward with very few obstacles. There is no one path. There are similar paths, but there are no identical paths, it seems. We are all picking variations and creating the challenges as we go. I'm being told that as we walk, we choose the challenge or the lesson, but not the specific events. That's what I'm understanding anyway. For some people, it's very straightforward. They're going along their path and it diverts, and there is light and there is darkness providing contrast to one another. And then for some people, it's very nuanced with different paths and choices weaving in and out and in and out. For some, there are just many crossroads or wide junctions, and something will occur at each point, and whatever occurs will challenge them. How will they respond? How will they process each challenge? How will it affect them and their behavior? Many will default to walking the same path until they are given an opportunity to change once again when they come to a new junction. I'm being shown the three people's paths again. Now that I can see them with this new knowledge and understanding, I realize that they are much more complex and intricate than I first realized. They are like capillaries, or like blood vessels and the arteries in our bodies, and they all circle back around because they're all fed by the same heart. This is really interesting. Thank you for that, Goddess Alethea. The mighty ones, the archangels Michael, Uriel, Gabriel, and Raphael, are here, and they are here with a great sense of seriousness, strength, and power. It's as if they're in a full form. This is unusual. They always protect me, but not with this intensity of energy. Now the others who surround, guide, and protect me are present, and they also feel as if they're in an active mode, and I don't know why. Oh, okay, I understand now. He is here. Lucifer, who we now call Satan. He remains on the outside of my protective circle. I can't look at him directly. I'm nowhere near ready to do that. But I'm being shown that there is light in him. Incredible, beautiful, divine light. He's wrapped in the thickest of cloaks. So thick that I'm not even sure that he's aware of the divine within him anymore, or aware of what led him to being in this state. They're pushing back the border of the circle more now. They're strengthening it. I tell them that I think that's all I can handle right now. And with that, he is gone. I'm thanking everyone. I am thankful for this experience because to understand the human condition, I must understand Satan, or the energy that we refer to as Satan or as pure evil. I appreciate that when he came, he remained at a distance, and that he left when he was asked to. This isn't something I probably would have chosen to do, but I do recognize that it's important for me to have this experience. It's important for my growth and my understanding, and I recognize that. I'm now thanking all who protected me. They are all so amazing and fill me with awe. Now, back to the subject of Lucifer, who is Satan, or the energy that we refer to as Satan. I'm not underestimating the damage he can cause or the dangerous effect he has on our world. But from what I'm understanding, his destiny is somehow linked to our work. The energy of the source of the One exists within him. It was no surprise for the One, the source, God, the divine, use whatever word you want, that Lucifer made the choices that he did, or that all of this happened. I'm seeing it as part of the program, part of the plan. And that as we raise ourselves up to higher vibrations, we will no longer need him as a foil. We won't need this example of what it is to be so separated from our own light and the perfection of the divine and the completeness of the One. When we can achieve this, the layers that cover his divine essence will fall away, and then he will be free from this terrible burden. His true divinity will be revealed once more in its absolute perfection, and he will shine brightly as he did when he was Lucifer before the fall. This is not to say that we don't need protection from him and from this seriously dangerous energy that he carries at this moment, because we do. Look at the full entourage of powerful beings that were required to protect me in this situation. In his current form, he is very dangerous. While his divine essence exists underneath it all, his current energetic vibration can corrupt absolutely. And remember, the existence of the divine within him is part of what makes him effective. We can sense it, and this can lead to misplaced trust and bad decisions. From what is being explained to me and from what I'm understanding, his job isn't to destroy us. His job is to motivate us to turn away from him and from all that he represents, and to turn inward to our own divine essence, to identify with our soul's essence and recognize it, to remember who we are and to embrace it. We need to identify all that connects us with his outer cloak and remove it from our hearts and from our minds. And as we do this, we will raise up our vibrations, and our soul's essence will become the dominant vibration. And we will connect to the all through our inner self that is divine. The more of us that do this, the less we will need the contrast. The role he is playing will no longer be needed. By freeing ourselves, we help to free one another. And as we achieve this, we will free him as well. Remember that in the end, we are all one, without exception. Thank you, everyone, for keeping me safe. As I've explained before, I was told that I had to look at all of the beings and energies that are with me and really see them. See them in as much completeness as I could perceive, all of their aspects and all of their energy, so that I would begin to truly know them. I found this easy to do with anything that I considered to be beautiful or that conformed to ideas that I already held, but I found it far less easy for the things that did not. So, for example, I found looking at the youthful aspect of new life and nurturing of the sacred feminine to be easy, but I initially found looking at the crone, the withering and dying aspect of her, to be a challenge. There was also one being who I was not willing to even attempt this with. Standing well outside my protective universe of amazing beings and energies was Lucifer, who is now Satan, or the energy that he represents. And I can tell you that I was nowhere near ready to even take a peek at him, let alone look at him properly. But the question I ask myself is, why? Why was I so reticent, despite knowing that I was protected and safe? What within me made me avoid the instructions that I got from divine? Fear, obviously. But was there anything else? As I started to search within myself for these answers, I began to consider the character, the idea, the energy, the belief, and the story or the myth of Lucifer, who became Satan. Our stories basically say that Lucifer challenged God because Lucifer was taken over by what I will call ego. He felt that he knew better than God. In fact, he seems to have felt that he should be God or a god. Does this sound familiar? human even. Lucifer also resented God's love for another of his creations, one whom Lucifer thought to be lesser than himself, human beings. It seems that Lucifer's ego made him believe that revering us mortals was beneath him. It was a combination of arrogance and jealousy that evolved into blinding hubris. Again, does this sound familiar? Supposedly, Lucifer gained followers through his beguiling words and ego-driven ideas. I assume through this Satan awakened or spread ego to some of the other angels, and they followed him to their eventual downfall. Yet again, I ask you, does this not sound familiar? Does this not reflect much of the human experience? The Lucifer to Satan story is really a story about ego. It's a warning about the lust for power and a desire to control others. It's a cautionary tale that urges us to exercise humility and resist the temptation and illusions of power and importance that ego creates in our minds and presents to us as truth. As a story, it's a mirror that is held up for us. When Lucifer fell, he became this entity who we now call Satan. Lucifer fell because of himself. He failed the challenge of restraining his ego. He chose to hear only its voice of derision and lies, instead of listening to the voice of God within him, the voice that is the light, that is his true essence, that is the true essence of all of us, the energy of the one that we truly are. Lucifer, who became Satan, is a lesson for us. He's an example for us to look at and consider so that we may avoid a similar path. In this context, I see his story as a parable of sorts, an example of the dangers of ego and of the eternal internal struggle that we are all engaged in while we are here on earth. I continue to think about the purpose of this in the context of the conscious reality that we are experiencing here. Keep in mind that I'm approaching this with broad strokes and various angles and possibilities. Other than being an allegory for what lies within ourselves and the challenges we face as human beings, what is the point of Lucifer's fall from grace? Was there a symbolic necessity for it, a practical one? And if so, what was it? Could there be other messages or allegories within the story of Lucifer? I also wonder if the story has been changed over time, or if it's remained complete and in its original form. Could there be a forgotten story behind the story we know that would make sense in the context of our conscious reality here? It seems that in his original state, Lucifer was quite the being. Powerful, magnificent, one of the angels closest to God and of the highest order. Classically, he is known as the morning star, the light bringer, the shining one. But then he fell. And the more I thought about this perfectly magnificent being closest to God, I thought, what if the story behind the story we know is that the fall was a choice? What if Lucifer chose to be the sacrifice in order to act as a warning and as a deterrent for all of us, his brothers and sisters of the light, who were going to come here and experience this challenging reality? Or what if this sacrifice needed to be made in order to introduce ego, or pride, call it whatever you want, into the program, in order for the program to provide us with very specific challenges? Perhaps, being the brightest of all the angels and the closest one to God, Lucifer volunteered. Maybe his original motivation was to make this sacrifice so that no one else had to, so that no one else would have to experience the level of pain associated with the complete betrayal of God and the complete separation or perceived separation from God. Perhaps it was such a huge undertaking that only a being of his magnitude could accomplish this task successfully. So he became a vessel for ego in order to bring ego into our reality, to integrate it into the program here, because it was necessary. First, it entered his being and began to affect him internally through his thoughts. Once it had twisted his thoughts enough, it affected his behavior and his speech. Lucifer shared his thoughts as his ego looked to amass supporters of the vision that it, the ego, had created. Working slowly and determinedly, as it does in all of us, it affected and infected others, expanding Lucifer's circle. After the fall, it moved with Lucifer, now Satan, from the ethereal planes to the earthly planes, targeting and infecting humans. Or maybe not. Please don't get me wrong. Satan as a fallen figure, whether he's real or allegorical, is an extremely dangerous being and an extremely dangerous energy. He represents a force that overwhelms us easily. So I'm not trying to suggest that he be invited to the kitchen table, no matter what the story behind the story may be. No matter what the original motivation was for taking on ego and challenging God, he is dangerous to us and should not be engaged with. But I'm trying to understand him and his story, because on one level, he represents us, and he stands as a lesson to us so that we can better understand ourselves and better avoid walking his path. Also, I feel that in order for us to learn and grow spiritually, it's important that we try to see things in different ways and from different vantage points or angles. We should not just accept word for word and lock, stock, and barrel what other people or other belief systems or our own belief systems present to us. For me, this is an important part of my spiritual journey. But I'm sure you're wondering what in the world could have made me rethink and reconsider the story of Lucifer in the way that I did. Around 25 years ago, my son drew a picture for me when he was 4.5. This picture depicted Jesus standing with a sword in his hand. Jesus was smiling. And in the background, in the sky above him, there were 4 monster-like creatures. My son called them the last monsters. He was afraid of them. He said that these monsters would cause terrible things to happen on earth. I was confused about why Jesus would be smiling in the company of these terrible monsters, so I asked him to explain, and he said, "The monsters are helping Jesus." And then he went on to explain, in his little 4.5-year-old way, that the monsters were not bad in and of themselves. They were just doing their jobs. They were assigned to carry out certain jobs, and they were just fulfilling the tasks that they were given. As you've probably already figured out, these monsters are what we would call the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, who come from God's authority to fulfill specific tasks. So they are not bad or evil in and of themselves. But if you believe in them, then you believe that they are necessary to bring about the second coming, and therefore they are helping Jesus to fulfill his destiny. So while most of us would see them as bad or evil because we don't like the pain and suffering that they bring, they're merely carrying out tasks that have been ordained by God, and so they are not bad or evil. Their roles are functional and necessary for reasons that we can't fully understand. It blew my mind when my son explained this to me, because I'd never considered seeing this type of being in a different way than bad or evil. But as a 4.5-year-old, my son, who was terrified of them and upset by what they would do, understood that they were not bad in and of themselves. They were not evil. They were just fulfilling roles that they had been assigned to do and that were necessary in some way. This was the first time that I recognized that I was accepting the point of view and beliefs of other people and of other institutions without question. And this realization brought about a change in me and my approach to my spiritual journey. Now, bringing this forward, I applied it to Lucifer. I considered that perhaps there was a necessary and important purpose for the role that he took on. Perhaps he was and is just doing a job that serves a higher purpose that we can't understand. And perhaps without him, none of this experience would be possible. Maybe Lucifer is just performing the job of Satan by providing contrast and a frightening but possibly necessary balance, so that we can come here and experience conscious reality in a particular way. This does not mean that we have to like his role, and it doesn't mean that we should condone him or underestimate the damage that he can do. if he is real, he poses a clear and present danger to us. If he is symbolic of an energy, it is a dangerous energy that we don't want to draw to us. And if the story is just an allegory for ego, then we need to understand the danger of an unbridled ego and do what we can to keep ours in check. What I'm exploring here is not about condoning, and it's not about excusing. It's about understanding. It's about considering. It's about self-reflection and growth. And it's about having the humility to recognize that we do not have the knowledge that we need to judge anyone or anything. We are not God. If we consider Jude 1:9, which says, "But even the archangel Michael, when he was disputing with the devil about the body of Moses, did not himself dare to condemn him for slander, but said, 'The Lord rebuke you.'" So even the mighty archangel Michael left it to God to judge. But believe it or not, I'm not done. I think there's one more to consider. Earlier I mentioned that he, Lucifer, chose to hear only his ego's voice of derision and lies, instead of listening to the voice of God within him, that is his true essence, that is the true essence of all of us, of the one that we all are. Whether he is real or an allegory, he fell, and so have we. Lucifer's fall seems more drastic and more complete than ours because he fell from such a height as he embraced his egotistical journey of unimaginable magnitude. But the core energy of Lucifer came from God, or the source, the one. That energy that is his life force still exists. It's still within him. It has to be. It may be covered up by layers of seemingly impenetrable egoic hatred, resentment, and hubris, but it's there, just as ours is. There is always a promise of salvation or of correcting our program if we turn away from our ego and reconnect with the divine within us. That's why so many of these stories exist. They serve as warnings so that we can understand. They are markers to show us how we can find our way out of this mess that has been created by unbridled ego and by the light perverted. Those are my thoughts anyway. I know this topic can be very sensitive, but I believe that it has to be explored. I think that if the Lucifer Satan persona is seen as symbolic, it's easier to put fear aside and see that he is a reflection of ourselves, of the human race. I'm not claiming that he is or is not a true being. I'm in no position to say that. And sometimes he does seem very real. But once we allow fear to enter, there can be no perspective, and so the lesson can be lost in the midst of fear. I hope that this episode provided some food for thought and consideration, and that it will help you to pause and just think for a moment about the significance of his story. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you'll join me on the next episode of Communing with Divine. Have a wonderful day.